Hello and welcome to what is the first Crimewatch UK of 1995 and the 106th programme altogether. As a result of those programmes, thanks entirely to information from viewers, police have now made a total of 393 arrests. And most of those have been for serious crimes which endanger public safety, such as armed robberies, rape attacks and murders. So with that to your credit as viewers, perhaps you can help put a stop to the activities of those responsible for the crimes we're appealing on tonight.
In our first case, some of the details have been changed to protect people's identities. It's about an attack for which there's no known motive. It may have been a robbery which went wrong. Conceivably, the assailants may have intended to cause harm. Either way, it finished up as murder. Our reconstruction begins in September near East Ham in the capital. This is part of London's East End, where for centuries migrants have settled, the latest being largely Bengalis, Pakistanis and Bangladeshis. Atek Hussain came here in 1978 and went straight into the restaurant trade. He married Panna 12 years ago, and then their children got a maisonette in East Ham off Newham Way. Atek was devoutly religious and devoted to his family. His other interest was his restaurant, an hour or more's journey from his home.
The cook, he say, can't start Monday.
He owned it jointly with his brother Malik.
My brother and I started restaurant business many years ago. We bought a Wallingham Tandoori 8-9 years ago.
What about the shopping list? Have you
Shopping, get some green chili and kulfi. Atmosphere at the restaurant are all friendly. Some of them call Atek, Chacha mean uncle. Some of them call him a bhai. Bhai mean brothers.
Hello. It's been a very long time.
I've been on holiday.
You have?
Just come back.
You got a nice tan coming up. Let me get your menus for you.
Dolly, Javed.
Coming, Mum.
Have you brushed your teeth?
Yes.
And you washed your face?
Yes.
Okay, in we get. Snuggle up. Okay, good night.
Night,
Don't stay up talking now.
Night, Mum.
I'm going, okay? Good night.
Good night, Malik Bhai. Are you two finished?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then. I'll just get changed and then we can go.
After dropping off the two employees, Atek arrived home in Bernals Avenue at about 2:30 a.m.
Help! Help!
Who's that?
It can't be your father. He's got his keys. He wouldn't be ringing.
Don't answer the door.
Something's not right, Dolly. Phone the police. Atek? Atek! Atek! What happened? Atek! Atek! Kilo Oscar 1 receiving Kilo Oscar.
Go ahead, over.
Could you go to Bernals Avenue E6? A male collapse, over.
Yes, all received. Kilo Oscar 1 out. When I turned into Bernals Avenue, by the phone box where the first emergency call was made, I saw a pool of blood on the pavement. I then went to house where the second call had been made, and the door was closed. I attempted to open the door, but there was something behind it stopping me opening it, and it was then that I heard groaning and moaning from behind the door.
A local resident noticed other people at the scene apart from the police.
Oscar, confirming an ambulance has been called to Burnells Avenue, E6 over.
Excuse me, I don't know if it's got anything to do with what's going on here, but I've just seen a bloke hanging around on that corner.
Right, this side?
Yeah.
Stay here, mate.
Paramedics were there within 5 minutes of being called, but no one could have saved him. Atek had been stabbed through the heart. Tim Smells, as I said at the beginning, Atek had no known enemies, did he?
No, that's right. He was a much-loved family man.
Now, you've got a description of one of the guys who was running away. Two of them, and they were both Asian, you think. What else do you know about this chap?
Yes, that's right. A witness saw two Asian men running away. We have a good photo fit of one of them.
What else do you know about him? He's in his 20s. Anything more in description?
As you can see, he's medium height, medium build, with thick black hair with a side parting, and we believe he was wearing a dark bomber-style jacket.
The white car that was seen at the end of the road, is that, do you think, significant, or are you looking for witnesses there? You're looking to eliminate that?
Yes, we certainly want to speak to the occupants of that car because we believe it could be holding witnesses.
It's a long time ago, this, September the 18th of, Sunday 18th of September. People will have thought of that as a Saturday night, of course, late on a Saturday night 4 months ago. There was also the man who was seen on the corner there. Again, he's probably a witness, nothing to do with the attack. You need to trace him, though. Yes,
that's right, but unfortunately we haven't got a very good description other than he was black, about 5'8", but again we'll be treating him as at this stage as a witness.
Now this jacket, ordinary man's denim jacket with a very distinctive logo which says Portland College on the breast pocket, and it's got this green lapel or collar in corduroy. Tell us how that was discovered and why it's significant.
That was found about a quarter of a mile away from the scene in some rough ground. We believed it was dumped there on the night because the undergrowth was all wet and that was dry. So we'd like to speak to anybody who knows this jacket, has seen this jacket, or seen anybody who owned this jacket and hasn't been seen wearing it since the date of the incident.
Which is the 18th of September. There's a £5,000 reward which has been put up by the Community Action Trust, so please call us if you can. It's quite likely that people in the Asian community who want to help have been unable to because of language barriers. So because of that, a Saletti speaker is here to take calls this evening. If you can help, please ring the studio, 0500 600 600, or you can contact the incident room at Stratford in East London, where they speak 5 languages, incidentally, as well as English. That's 0171 275 5411. Notice we're now using the new dialing codes with an extra 1 in the number, 0171 275 5411.
Well, before we ask for your help on this month's photocall cases, I can tell you that as a result of last month's appeals, a viewer seems to have recognised this man who attacked a woman walking through Bedford town centre, breaking her nose and stealing her handbag. Police tell us that news on that case is imminent. The couple police needed to speak to in connection with a series of frauds are still being sought, despite news of a sighting in Turkey. And some 25 viewers called to say they recognise this couple. They may be able to help police investigating a series of frauds in West Sussex. And the programme has provided them now with 4 live lines of inquiry. And again, definite news is expected soon. We'll now hear Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames with this month's appeal.
Do you know this man? He's Kevin Francis Ashman, and colleagues in London believe he may have important information about a sexual offence which took place in Ealing last year. On Friday the 18th of November, a woman was raped after a night out at a club in West London. Kevin Francis Ashman is 31, 5'8" and of slim build. He's got short, dark, receding, curly hair and sometimes wears glasses. He also uses the names Michael Cunniff, Kevin Stanislaus and Kieran Leonard James. If you know where he is now, please ring us tonight.
Do you recognise these men? Police in North Wales would like to speak to them in connection with a robbery at a clothes shop in Mould near Wrexham. On Friday the 11th of November at approximately 6:45 p.m, clothes worth thousands of pounds were stolen from Strides in Wrexham Street. 2 days earlier, on Wednesday the 9th of November, these two men were caught on the security video acting strangely. One man in a blue peaked hat seems to be looking carefully around him. Both men had Merseyside accents and were in their mid-20s. The man in the cap was approximately 5'11" with blonde hair. The other was shorter with dark hair. If you know who they are or saw anything on the night of the robbery, then please call.
Do you know this woman? Colleagues in South Wales would like to speak to her in connection with a series of deceptions across the country. In November last year, a woman befriended a young German student in London and stole her valuables. She adopted the student's identity and then moved on. 4 days later, she did the same thing in Cardiff. Take another look at this photograph, taken from a discarded tube pass. The woman's 5'4", very slim, with long, dark red hair and blue eyes. She uses many aliases and speaks with a Scottish accent. She may come from the Irvine area of Strathclyde. If you know who she is or where she is, please call us tonight.
And finally, do these two look familiar? Colleagues in Surrey would like to speak to them in connection with a robbery at a jeweller's. Here they are at 1:10 on Wednesday the 9th of November in Walsh Brothers Jewellers, Oxted. After looking at several rings, one of the men assaulted the sales assistant. He then ran to the storeroom where he attacked another assistant, breaking her nose. Both men fled from the shop, taking the rings with them. The staff were left dazed and confused. The first man is 5'10" with dark, spiky hair. The second man is slightly taller. He's 6 foot with mousy brown hair. If you recognise either of them or can help with any of our photo call cases, please call us now.
That's the number 0500 600 600. Free call 0500 600 600. Now there's another face that you ought to know about. Do look carefully because you may have seen his picture around Christmas, but he still hasn't been found. If you do see him, please call the police immediately. If you know where he is now, please call us immediately. He's Philip George Manning. 3 years ago, he tried to murder his wife. He was imprisoned, but he was released last autumn. On Christmas Day, his ex-wife was shot dead, and her new boyfriend was seriously injured with a machete type of knife. Philip Manning is thought to be in West London. At any rate, his car was found abandoned in Kensington on New Year's Eve. Did you see it there before then? But more importantly, do you know where he is now? Please call us here in the studio, 0500 600 600. Or you might ring the incident room in Ebbw Vale. That's on 01 495 350 548. That's 01 495, the code for Ebbw Vale, 350 548.
Well, although they make the headlines, in fact, cases where somebody is raped by a stranger are very rare indeed. Having said that, this next appeal is unfortunately one of those cases. However, there's good reason to hope that the attacker will be identified tonight, because in just the space of a few weeks before the rape took place, and in the same area of the city of Bath, 3 other women were followed or accosted by a man, and the descriptions that these women have given police are strikingly similar, not only to each other, but also to that of the man who committed the attack we're appealing on tonight. The names have been changed in our reconstruction, which takes place on Monday, November the 14th.
What's up? Come in. What's happened? Sarah, please tell me what's happened.
I've been raped.
I'm really sorry, but we need to go through everything that happened. If If you could tell me from the beginning in your own time.
I feel so dirty. I just didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know whether I'd see Paul again.
When we arrived at the house that the police took us to, it seemed very unreal. The people that we were with were complete strangers. I was just glad that my husband was there, that he could put an arm around my shoulder and give me a hug and tell me that I was going to be okay.
Excuse me, the doctor's here.
Are you all right to see the doctor now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go then. And we'll carry on later.
How's she doing?
She's bearing up remarkably well.
Good. We think this one may be linked to another incident which occurred in the same area a couple of weeks earlier. According to the incident report, the man is described as a white male, about 25 to 30 years of age, about 5 foot 7 inches tall. He had medium build, dark hair, and also a fringe. She was sufficiently nervous, she kept on stopping, hoping he was going to pass her. And this happened in the same road where Sarah was abducted from by the man who later raped her.
Do you want to start from where you left work?
About 5:30, I think. I just checked my diary to see what meetings I have the next day.
Everything's going okay. Hopefully I'll have the stats ready for tomorrow. I should convince Tom. The better it's taken me a week. Why do I always end up doing this?
I knew Paul would be at home by now. Monday is usually on night in.
The man was about 5 yards from my car. He was about 25 to 30, 5 foot 7 inches tall. At first I thought he was staring at me.
Hey, America, it's Christmas time. Hey, America.
Move over. Bloody move over. Give me the keys. Put your head down.
There was no point in shouting or screaming for help. All the houses have got double glazed and there were no cars around. Nobody could really come to my rescue. So I just decided that I had to look after myself. I had to do what he asked me to do, and hopefully I would come out the other end, really.
Keep your head down. What's your name?
Sarah.
Where do you live?
What?
Where do you live?
He was very nervy in case I looked at his face. He kept pulling my hair if I moved at all. So I really only got to look at him when he first got into the car. He's about 28 to 32, small to medium build, and he definitely had a local accent. I was really scared. He kept on saying, "Don't look at me, face the door." He was trying to be dominant, but it came out all nervy. Then he wound the seat of the car down, and he put something around my wrist, something stretchy like a headband. Then he placed another band over my head, and then he drove off again. I was really trying to pay attention to where we were going. I'm sure we made a right turn in Claverton, just on the Warminster Road. I kept on thinking, if I ever get out of this, I bloody well want to get you caught. I thought, this is it. I'm never going to see anyone I love again.
Bend your head.
I could hear whistles, men playing football. It's actually quite reassuring.
From your description of the events yesterday evening, the gates and the incline here, there's no doubt in my mind this is the location where it happened.
This is definitely the gate he brought me through. I remember catching my heel here. I'm sorry, I don't remember much about what route he took on the way back. I felt cold, dirty, disgusting. I tried not to cry or scream, to show no emotion, nothing. But inside I felt terrified. I didn't know what he was going to do with me next.
Don't look at me. Don't follow me. Just stay where you are for 5 minutes.
I feel scared every time I enter or leave my own home. I'm convinced that somebody, or him especially, is just going to appear from nowhere. I also don't like being in the house on my own for any length of time, especially at night. I feel frozen to the spot really when I'm inside. But I hope that in time that will go, and I'll become normal again. I'll return to my normal self.
Well, Ian Appleton, as I said earlier, you have high hopes that one of our viewers will recognise this man tonight. You've got such good, clear descriptions from the 3 other women who saw that man.
Yeah. As a result of this attack, a number of young women have come forward and have told us about being followed in the Bathwick area. They all give very much the same description. The description we've got is this. It's a white man. He's a short man, about 5'7", slight to medium build. He's got short, dark hair with a fringe. He's got a local accent and is described as generally scruffy.
And one of those women, of course, encountered the man shortly before the attack took place on Monday the 14th of November.
At about 4:45, yeah. He actually followed her along Great Pulteney Street up towards Bathwick and very, very nearly attacked her himself.
So specifically what you're looking for is somebody who may have seen the man on that evening.
Yes. There are 4 locations I'm interested in. There's obviously where she was abducted from, in Beckford Gardens. Then we've got the lay-by on the A36 where the vehicle pulled in. Then we've got the rape scene itself, which is between the Bath University playing fields and the American Museum, a bit of woodland there. And then finally, at about 7:20, when he dropped her off in Forrester Lane, that's another location we're interested in. Any witnesses who were there in those locations, please come forward.
And what's the sort of time span we're talking about? It's not much more than an hour, in fact, is it?
Well, she was abducted at 6:10 in the evening and returned at about 7:20. She can actually remember looking at the clock in the car and seeing it turn from 7:19 to 7:20.
Now, how likely do you think it is that other women will have encountered this man as well?
I think it's very, very likely. It's almost as if he was building up to this attack. The offences were getting more severe as he went along. I think a number of other women have been followed. I'd like them to come forward. I think it's quite possible from the artist's impression that somebody may recognise this man. And what I'll say is this. Don't think that somebody else is going to make the call. If you feel that you recognise this man, then please make that call. Don't assume somebody else will.
I know you do feel that somebody will come forward. Somebody does know who that is.
Yes, I do. I feel very positively.
Well, thank you. If you do recognise that description or you think you can help, I don't need to tell you how important it is to call. The number here in the studio is 0500 600 600, or you can call the police in Bath, and that number is 01225 842 410. That's 01225, the code for Bath, 842 410.
Well, we're getting so many calls, it's really hard for me to go through them all at the moment. On the Atek Hussein murder, we've got several people who've suggested names for the 2 Asian people, the 8 men in their 20s who were seen running away. On photo call, we're being deluged by calls, but particularly on the woman who's wanted for a number of deceptions. Several people have rung in, including a detective constable, and a name has come up repeatedly, Michelle Dillon. And if you know this woman under the name Michelle Dillon, or if you are Michelle, perhaps you could call us as quickly as possible. Now, to Incident Desk, brief appeals on key police inquiries with Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames.
First, colleagues in Surrey want your help to solve a robbery. It happened at 12:40 on the 22nd of November when a security van was parked outside Bagshot Post Office on the High Street. This man approached the guard and threatened to shoot him in the back. The robber grabbed 2 post office bags before escaping down Cedar Close, where he jumped into a moving getaway car. The car, a blue Rover 620 SI, registration number L579WUY, had been stolen from Phipps Street in the City of London almost 2 months previously. It was later seen in Bachelor Street, Islington. Maybe you saw it between the 27th of September and the 22nd of November when it was used in the robbery. 5 days later, it was recovered from Swinley Sawmills in Ascot. Take another look at the robber. He's in his mid-30s and between 5'6" and 5'8". He was wearing jeans and a grey jumper with a light blue weave. If you recognise him or the blue Rover 620 SI, please call us here in the studio or call the Surrey Police on 01 276 27131. That's 01 276, the code for Camberley, 27131.
Our colleagues in Buckinghamshire would like to find this man who sexually assaulted a 10-year-old girl. At approximately 3:50 p.m. on Monday the 19th of December, she was in Vash Lane, a busy road linking Little Chalfont with Chalfont St Giles. A man driving towards her stopped and forced her into the back of a dark green or blue coloured estate car, possibly a Volvo. Were you driving along the road, or did you see anything? We're keen to speak to a person seen by the girl pushing a white coloured bike at that time. After a 20-minute drive, the girl was taken to an empty detached house where she was sexually assaulted. Afterwards, her attacker drove her to Gorlands Lane, just off Vash Lane, at about 5 p.m. If you recognise him, or you can help in any way, please phone Thames Valley Police on 01 296 396 000. That's 01 296, the code for Aylesbury, 396 000.
If you live in the northeast of England, you may be able to help with our next incident case, desk case. The main clue, a silver grey Vauxhall Carlton, was stolen from Hartlepool in August. It showed up 2 months later in Sheffield town centre.
We'd had some new clocks come into stock. I'd unpacked them and there were 2 very nice carriage clocks which I wanted to put into the window. So I'd gone outside to check which clocks I could take out to put the new ones in, because we like to get new stock into the window.
I was leaving work at about 9:30 to go and move my car, which was parked on Wellington Street. I was outside H.L. Brown's when I heard a scream come from inside the shop.
Everybody on the ground, now!
Quick, get the police. There's a robbery next door. I'm going to see if there's a car.
I stood perhaps a minute or so, studying the window, and then I walked back along Leopold Street and into the shop. I didn't realise at first what was happening because I'd turned towards Teresa straight away, and then all of a sudden the man with the gun came towards me. I thought that he was going to shoot me because I'd walked in on them, and as he came towards me with his finger on the trigger, I thought, well, this is it. I've had it. They're going to shoot. He's going to shoot me. The man that was taking the jewellery out of the window was throwing things into the bag. You could hear them all clashing together.
I felt nervous. I was a little bit apprehensive that if he could see me, he might realise that I'd seen him, but was totally focused on getting the registration number. When I got round the corner into Leopold Street, I could see there was a silver grey Vauxhall car parked there. I immediately thought it must be the getaway vehicle. There was somebody sitting inside it. Got a pen out my bag and started to write. As I was doing that, 2 men came past me. I moved out of their way, and I just had to stand there while I watched them get into the car and the car drive away.
When officers arrived 5 minutes later, the robbers had abandoned the car half a mile away. The gunman's described as late 30s, early 40s, about 5'9", medium build, wearing a distinctive wig. There's a substantial reward on offer for information leading to the recovery of the jewellery, so if you can help in any way, please call the incident room in Sheffield on 01 142 523 819. That's 01142, the new code for Sheffield, 523 819.
And finally, on incident desk, officers would like your help to solve a fatal stabbing in North London. 50-year-old Andrew Machenji finished his night shift as a doorman at the Africa House Club in Stoke Newington at 8 AM on Sunday the 5th of June. At 8:45 he withdrew cash from the Halifax Building Society. Shortly afterwards, though, he was seen staggering into Kingsland High Street. He'd been stabbed in a car park between Gillette Street and Bradbury Street at around 9 AM. Officers would like to identify two men who were seen running down Bradbury Street and into St Jude Street. They were both described as black, in their early 20s and between 5'9" to 6 foot. One of the men had a goatee-style beard. If you were in the area at the time of the attack or can help in any way, please call the incident room on 0171 275 5453. That's 0171 275 5453.
And of course, for all our cases tonight, you can ring us direct here in the studio on 0500 600 600. That's 0500 600 600.
Lots of business people trade in cash. Mostly it's not a problem, but occasionally it does make them rather vulnerable. And what's worse, if they do lose money in a crime, they're rarely covered by insurance and their business can be crippled. In our next case, a coin dealer took every routine precaution when handling cash, but he nearly lost his livelihood, and indeed it could have cost his life.
My business is special to me because it enables me to make a reasonable living out of something which is always regarded as a hobby.
One of them's got the most unusual definition.
Can you remember those commentary details?
Have a look at the January listing.
It enables me to work from home, it enables me to work for my wife, which is something which I would not be able to do were I in normal employment.
I was travelling along the stretch of road on my way to work at about 8:30 in the morning, which I do each day, just in an everyday state of mind. I remember seeing a red car that was parked well over onto the grass verge. It seemed to me the car was parked there for a reason, perhaps watching something, and it stuck in my mind.
$45. Sorry, who gave you my name? Right, you know, John. What have you got for sale?
A gentleman with a strong northeast accent. He gave as a reference a friend of mine I've done business with for 20 years, and he seemed very, very genuine.
Well, what are they?
Well, I'm mainly British, Caroltius and Electus.
We made arrangements to meet to view the collection. He suggested Scotch Corner Roundabout. It's a traditional meeting place for people who are sort of halfway house. And he told me that there was a restaurant across the way.
There's a Dalesway Lodge on the left-hand side. I'll meet you in the car park at 7 o'clock tonight. I'll be in a Red Sierra.
I have a friend I've known for about 20 years called Adge. We both went to the same coin club and we've developed a strong friendship over the years. He arrived at my house, I think, about 5 o'clock.
Really appreciate you coming over at such short notice, Adge. It's a hell of a long way and I really didn't fancy doing it on my own. No problem.
We had a cup of coffee and he got himself ready and had a sandwich like, because I'd not eaten since dinner time. And we just hopped in the car and drove up like.
I mean, having mentioned JW, he went on to talk about some of the coins that he got. And he obviously knows something.
He was more or less hyped up, wondering what kind he was going to see and whether he was going to get a good buy out of it.
It'll be just right for the fair next week. That, yes, I really do think so.
I usually take the dogs for a walk about that time. It's just something that's very relaxing, I think. Switch off from work. It wasn't too dark that night. As I came out the village, there's a track that goes down into the fields. And I passed that and carried on up the road.
We arrived at about 5 to 7. I was a little perturbed that the restaurant did not in fact seem to have opened, although there were lights on in the downstairs room.
Nobody about. You sure this is the right place?
Sure, they always turn up.
A car pulled into the car park, swung round and drove straight at us, so it was head on to our side. And then he just waited a minute with his headlights on, and then it reversed back behind us. So I looked at him in the mirrors, you know, I couldn't see him because he was parked a bit off to one side. Well, I was planning how to fill in my time while he was going through this collection of coins.
Had a good journey up?
Fine.
Help yourself.
Don't move! Get out of there, mate!
I wasn't really aware of what was going on. All I know was somebody had thrown something in my face. So I stumbled across to the road to try and get help, basically. My face was just on fire. I mean, I've never experienced any pain like it.
I don't know exactly what happened next. I must have been unconscious because I realised I was coming round, lying on the floor.
About halfway up the road, a GTI-type vehicle came rather fast down the road. It wasn't just going fast, that was racing speed.
I've just been attacked by two men. I'm in a car park. Dalesway Lodge, it's just near Scotch Corner.
As I walked back down, a fire caught my attention. And then I realised as I got further down the road that the thing was on the track that I'd passed on the way up the road. And I could then definitely tell it was a car because I could see the driver's door was open. And at that point, I started jogging for home.
Two suspects have made off in a red Ford Sierra. Last direction of travel towards Scotch Corner Hotel. 4-1 over.
I'll get those details off to the Sarge.
Yep, okay.
In the ambulance, I suppose I was feeling initially shocked and outraged and wondering whether my jaw was broken. I was concerned about Adge because he'd obviously suffered some quite severe injury to his eyes.
And if anybody had said to me before it happened, you'd have gone through all this trauma and upset, and I said, don't be silly, you're all right, it's finished with, but it's not. It lasts a long time. I've been going through that every night since. Not being able to sleep, worrying about it, and it's a very nerve-wracking business.
Well, it's worse than that. If Adge Stanley hadn't been wearing glasses, he would have been blinded.
That's right, yes.
Tell me, Alan Angus, you've got quite a good description of one of the men.
The main offender is described as a white male, 5'11" to 6 foot in height. Very emaciated features with sunken cheeks. He has brown hair, and he possibly had a light-coloured moustache. At the time of the robbery, he was wearing camouflage clothing, and he spoke with a northeast accent.
What do you know about the red car that they had?
We strongly suspect that the vehicle used was a red-coloured H-registered Ford Sierra XR 4x4 stolen from Jesmond, Newcastle upon Tyne on the 31st of January 1994.
January? Last January?
That's correct.
Now, this robbery was in November.
That's right. We're obviously keen to know the whereabouts of that vehicle from the time of its theft to its use in the robbery.
OK. The number plate, G793RCU, at least you think that's the number plate on that night, that's on a legitimate vehicle, we should make that clear.
Yeah, that's right.
The offender somebody was making a phone call, obviously from that phone box in Sunderland. It was on Shields Road, near Dovedale Road. What time was that? Tell us a little more about that for potential witnesses.
That person made 2 calls from the phone box in Shields Road, Sunderland, at about 10 a.m. on the morning of the robbery. He had a strong Geordie accent, and it appears he also had knowledge of metal detecting and coin collecting.
OK, now, we didn't show it in the reconstruction, but there was another clue, possible clue at any rate, a C-registered Ford Orion, a blue car that was seen nearby. Why is that significant?
The week previous to the robbery, a witness saw the Orion parked on a lane 3 miles from the Dalesway Lodge, very, very close to the farm track where the getaway car was subsequently found burnt out.
OK, well, if you can help in any way, please call us 0500 600 600. Who, with a Geordie accent, obtained a red Sierra, maybe has a history of violence, and could have been around Scotch Corner on Thursday, the 3rd of November, shortly after 7 o'clock, and suddenly came into quite a lot of cash. If anything fits in that picture, please call 0500 600 600. Or you could call the police in North Yorkshire on 01 609 789 008. That's 01 609, the code for Northallerton, 789 008.
Well, we're getting a lot of calls in today. We've had names suggested for the murderer of Atek Hussein and several calls on that denim jacket. All the photo call cases seem to be having good information. There's a lot of stuff to go on there by the look of it. And we're getting suggestions for the man who raped the woman, the businesswoman in Bath. And also, I'm just getting information, we've had an interesting call on the Chalfont St Giles case on Incident Desk. If you can add to that information, or you think you can help on any of tonight's cases, please do ring us. We have 40 lines here, so if you don't manage to get through straight away, please do try again. The crimes we've seen tonight are the exception, not the norm. Let's put a stop to them all together if we can. The number is 0500 600 600. Our lines are open for another 2 hours.
We'll be back with more news on progress with Crimewatch Update at 11:15. If you can't stay up till then, we'll bring you more news in our next Crimewatch, Thursday, the 16th of February at our normal time, 9:30. Whatever happens, don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.